no protection for somebody on the front lines who's actually spots something. I was on a panel last week with Daniel Ellsberg and Serpico and a bunch of other government whistleblowers. There's a guy that found out that they're putting ammonia in hamburger, and he works for the Department of Agriculture inspecting meat. 10 years ago he found this out. And yet it's been buried for 10 years about the adulteration of hamburger. Okay, I'm going to have to skip here, but I do have a conspiracy theory. I'm going to build on John's idea about, and of course yesterday when they're trying oh so hard to get me to say or to somehow admit I am a conspiracy theorist, and I'm sure there was a nod in my head somewhere that they'll include it and say that Coleen Rowley's a nutso, whatever, even though I was on the cover of Time magazine. A person like Richard Clark, for instance, who was actually in the command post, gets vilified if you speak out afterwards. So we'll see what happens. But I didn't get a chance to go on, and this wouldn't have been the proper thing to tell ABC, but I do have a conspiracy theory. And my conspiracy, or my theory, is because I know a lot about utilitarian ethics. Utilitarian ethics says that the goal, let's say it's a good goal, which is to have peace in the earth and that in the world, and because of that the United States has to dominate, and because of that we can't tell everybody all the little pieces about truth, etc. These types of things, or if we want to go to a war, we can't tell people the actual reasons and causes that led up to 9/11 because we want to substitute and get people to do things, this shock and awe theory. And I think this is something that ties the people like myself that want truth now on so many levels. Because after 9/11, what you had going on, instead of listening to people like myself, I tried to testify, for instance, on our inability to even interview Moussaoui on the day of 9/11. There's a way that you can interview and say it's public safety and you don't have to give Miranda rights. Of course, the debate now 9 years later with the Nigerian underpants bomber is exactly that. They are saying that, you crazy FBI, you were trying to give Miranda rights, and actually, I think the FBI's lost that. I think now it looks like the people who favor non-legal methods, continuing to include, possibly black sites and torture, indefinite detention, no right to habeas corpus, completely unconstitutional, I think are winning right now, that debate, 9 years after. And so somebody mentioned here today that you have an enormous pressure on the part of government to look effective. Somebody quoted the 9/11 Commission. This idea that we're going to promote everyone, and your promotions mean that you have to be judged to be doing a good job and effective. And of course 9/11 is proof right itself that so many people fail. George Tenet is an especially egregious example. He was briefed on August 23rd about the Moussaoui case. Moussaoui was taken into custody on August 16th, and within actually a week, about a week's time period, this information on its face was so compelling and factual, etc., that it made its way to the head of all the intelligence community. He wasn't just the head of the CIA, he was the director of Central Intelligence. And he was actually briefed with a 2-slide PowerPoint called Fundamentalist Learns to Fly. And of course, no one knew this after 9/11. I didn't know it when I wrote the memo. To their credit, that is something that finally the 9/11 Commission had to make him squirm and ask him, very embarrassing, why did you do nothing, or what did you do when you were briefed on August 23rd, 2001? Fundamentalist Learns to Fly. And he has no real answer. He says, it's not my job. That was actually kind of, I'm paraphrasing, but then he gets then of course the worst of accountability, that was at the end of the questioning. And then, a little while later, they hang a gold medal around his neck, as they did many others who made terrible mistakes, so that the public thinks they're doing a good job. The worst thing about truth for utilitarians is that it interferes with what they want to push through. And so if you have a preconceived idea that Iraq must go, Saddam is just too much about thumbing his nose too much at the United States, it will not help you to understand that directors of intelligence made terrible mistakes. Because that actually is against, then we'd have to fix the intelligence. You know what they did for the Director of Central Intelligence? They changed the acronym. That's what Bush came out on the same, he came out, no, the 9/11 Commission came up with this, that we will now have National Director of Intelligence. So instead of Director of Central Intelligence, you feel a lot safer with the name change? Well, you know, again, most of the country who are scared of this primordial fear of planes. How many people have had a dream where a plane has gone down? And I actually have dreamed this long before 9/11. You know, it's one of those things, you're looking up at the sky and a plane starts crashing down. So tapping into something really bad and then allowing all of these terrible things. FBI, partially panic-based in New York, ran out very quickly after 9/11 and started grabbing people, immigrants, who were standing on corners. And a lot of them they were videotaping, maybe they're going back to Bangladesh after their stay in New York, and it happened to be the week or two after 9/11, and they were put into jail. About 1,000 of these people. Some of them were beat up because the directors were trying to tell the country that they were doing something in the effort to stop terrorism, and people wanted to believe it. And the jailers believed it, and some of the people that were totally, not a one of those 1,000 people that were held in jail for 9 months were ever charged. They had no connection to 9/11. You talk about something so, no factual basis. And it was a precursor, and then I'll tell you one more thing. When they were in jail that first month, then the media kept asking the FBI, what info are you getting out of those 1,000 people? And of course, you know, not to be looking like wimps and whatever, that's when the statement was made, of course, by anonymous officials. I think it's time to take the gloves off. These people aren't talking. And, you know, we all know the Clint Eastwood and Jack Bauer, if they don't talk, this might be the time to take the gloves off. Of course, Dick Cheney is saying we must go to the dark side. So that first conversations about the now completely illegal, unconstitutional, violates all ethical norms that we are going to start torturing. That would have actually been on the first roundup people that have nothing to do with 9/11. That's how bad it is. And of course, it's just fundamentally, you've got to have truth, or there is no way that you can accomplish anything. You could possibly try to reduce terrorism unless you begin with the truth. Okay, I'm going to stop here.
You want to take some questions?
I do want to just say one more thing. When I testified, when I got a chance then after this memo leaked, you know,